Kristal Hart, and welcome to the Kristal Hart Show. We are at Amsterdam Whitney Art Gallery in the heart of the art world, Chelsea. And with us is the owner, Ruthie Tucker, and we are going to look, this is Salute to the Stars, and these are the Allstars of Amsterdam Whitney Art Gallery. Ruthie?
Thank you, Kristal. Welcome to Amsterdam Whitney Gallery, our Salute to the Stars exhibition. But before we salute the stars of Amsterdam Whitney Gallery, we must salute Kristal Hart, who's the biggest star of them all. We boast a constellation of stars, more stars than there are in the heavens. And we have wonderful artists featuring floral, figurative, abstract, cityscape, wonderful work that rejoice in the terrain, rejoice in humanity, and Amsterdam Whitney Gallery is proud to glitter and glow with Kristal Hart, our Queen of Chelsea, at our Allstars exhibition at Amsterdam Whitney Gallery. Thank you again, Kristal Hart. Thank you.
And as we start off, we have some magnificent glowing work behind me. And this is John Peters. John Peters of Michigan.
John Peters is known as the master of gold leaf. And we felt that his art radiates a golden glow, Kristal, here at Chelsea. Many of our collectors and friends know John Peters with his more surrealist, magical realism art, but this is a new, divergent, and a very exciting series, Kristal, because it's based on more of an abstract version of nature. John rejoices in the natural terrain with his wave series, which is really rejoices in the world, and he utilizes gold leaf and very saturated color palette to give a different, fresh perspective of the terrain. John also employs, Kristal, gold leaf, which is very sophisticated and a very complicated method and also expensive in his art. And he introduces us to the waves, to the mountains, to the sun, to the sky, to the ocean of the world in a more, as we say, abstracted fashion. And it is a wonderful opportunity for the collectors of John Peters to have a different version of his art, because it's always so desirable to have artists who create series, but the series can sometimes spin into a different direction. And that, Kristal, is why John Peters is called the master of gold leaf and a master of the terrain. And it's exciting because it makes his work even more desirable and more of an important artist, because we see different facets of his work. And his series has really illuminated the gallery. It's celestial, it's joy, and I think in the world we need a little bit of serenity and a bit of spirituality to connect with nature and to be at one with the world and one with ourselves.
And what she said, his work is always so uplifting. If you have it in your apartment or house, it's always
wonderful, and in offices as well. And John Peters is also very active with the Detroit Institute of Arts, and really participates in many of the goals of the museum and restoration, and is really renowned internationally as a very important emerging master artist, John Peters.
Continuing with our nature theme, we have the work, the flowers of Nancy Balmert. She's the yellow rose of Texas. Behind me, we have purple flowers, beautiful, beautiful.
Nancy Baumert is known as the queen of the floral kingdom. She is a queen of Chelsea, and Nancy is an internationally renowned artist who exhibits in Italy, in Belgium, in London, in France. Nancy's floral works are internationally and globally acclaimed because her work carries the tradition of the old masters. She is renowned for her very softly blended edges, which is a supreme artistic skill which is almost lost. Her richly textured colors, Kristal, are celebrated for the beauty and the aroma. When one comes and visits a Nancy Baumert exhibition, it's a multi-sensory experience because one can almost inhale the aroma of the roses and exhale their joy. And people feel that they have been walking in a garden, that they have been at the Tuileries, that they've been at Versailles, that they have really experienced the joy of the floral kingdom. Nancy hails from Houston, Texas, and also lives in Seattle, Washington. And Nancy and her husband, Paul, are global travelers. And Nancy's quest is to travel the world in search, in quest of the perfect rose, in search, in quest of the perfect orchid. And she and her husband, Paul, photograph the work, and then Nancy returns to her studio and then laboriously paints the work in a very rich, dense oil on canvas, and takes months and months for her to produce her floral kingdom. Nancy is celebrated by collectors, Kristal, all over the world because they love the joie de vivre of her flowers, that they love the happiness, they love the joy, that she rejoices in the floral kingdom. One of my collectors even said to us, "How does your garden grow?" It grows with Nancy Baumert's flowers. Furthermore, Nancy also, Kristal, does still life work, and we can even, Kristal will show a close-up. It's like a Dutch master where she shows crystalline decanters, glasses, orchids, and it is the quintessential quality of the beauty of the world, of the sheer perfection, giving and radiating joy. It shimmers with love and light. It radiates hope. It radiates faith. And that's why, Kristal, she is a favorite with so many of our national and international collectors. Our Yellow Rose of Texas, our Queen of Chelsea, our Queen of the Floral Kingdom, Nancy Baumert.
Continuing with the theme of nature, we are headed towards California and the West Coast, California dreaming, with the nature and beautiful work of Sally Ruddy.
Kristal, our artistic GPS is taking us to California to celebrate Nancy Ruddy's recent series entitled Fleeting Dreams. Fleeting Dreams is a metaphor to represent the transitory vision of nature, how we must treasure nature, how we must cherish all the beauty of nature because it can be fleeting. It encapsulates a precious moment where we receive the joy of nature's bounty, of nature's beauty. Sally Ruddy also is influenced by Henry David Thoreau, who stated, "We cannot get enough of nature," and that is the theme that Sally Ruddy embraces. Her work is always shining the spotlight on nature, on its beauty, whether it's on the almond blossoms from her farm, whether it is the beautiful trees, whether it's the beautiful sunflowers. Sally is rejoicing in the world and wanting us to treasure this very precious transitory quality of nature that we all must feel is God's gift to us. That's why she's so inspired by Henry David Thoreau. Sally is an internationally recognized artist. She has exhibited in London, in Italy, in France. Her world is treasured throughout the United States as well as Europe because of the beauty of her heavily textured mosaic-like art, her landscapes, her florals. She does beautiful sunflowers. They are treasured by everyone who sees her work because it gives serenity and a spiritual unity that, Kristal, we are at one with nature and at one with the world. Sally Ruddy. Beautiful mosaic flowers, colors, kaleidoscopic views with a beautiful lens.
Very vibrant.
Very-
The sunflower behind me is just absolutely gorgeous. And then we have a sky with a school bus. That's another extremely, I love that one. And you have the trees there.
And Sally is concerned with California and the rash of wildfires that has been destroying land. It's even interesting, one of her grandsons, Clay, is a fireman because they are so wanting to preserve nature, the terrain, the environment. And Sally is saying, look, inhale, enjoy, preserve, and let us honor nature. Sally Ruddy, California Dreamin', our golden girl of California.
Amsterdam Whitney Gallery is truly international, and it has another all-star from South America, am I correct? A beautiful, beautiful textured paintings behind me and in this room as Sade
Pineda.
Sade Pineda, just wonderful. I just love her work. It's so vibrant and colorful and cheerful.
And you just feel you want to touch it because it's so three-dimensional with heavily saturated canvases and paint. And Sade reflects our international global spotlight of Allstars. It's very expressionistic view of nature, Kristal. This is her showing her passion, her love affair with Mother Nature, her relationship, a co-relationship with the beauty, with the joy of nature, with the vivacity of colors, the kaleidoscopic sun-kissed reds and golden hues and cerulean blues. We just feel we want to go up and touch the paintings. We want to gather these bouquets of flowers and bring them. The pinks are purple. They are just so beautiful. And Sade is celebrating the joy of nature. Her dioramas, these panoramas, are another different vision of nature. We have seen John Peters with a more abstract. We saw Sally Ruddy vary her Fleeting Moment series. We saw the Floral Kingdom of Nancy Baumert, and now we're seeing more expressionistic dioramas. These are panoramas that are really showing the passion of nature and the vivacity of life. And we are thrilled with Sade Pineda's very marvelous work, and she'll be exhibiting this coming fall in Paris, which she's very thrilled at the Louvre. And Amsterdam Whitney Gallery, Kristal, is very thrilled to feature her. You can also notice there are no people represented in her paintings. This is right, it's an interesting observation because she just wants to solely focus on our more sensorial relationship with nature, not as much as the humankind relationship with nature. Sade Pineda.
It's also very calming.
Very much so.
All the paintings in there, even though they're bright and colorful, there's also
a vivacity and a sense of joy and serenity, a spiritual harmony that we are feeling to be with nature.
The work behind me is created by Maria Ason, and she is a Miami artist, and these are digital prints. Yeah, digital prints, and it's sort of an alternative way of looking at nature. And as I also see, I see like some faces, or could possibly be a animal in the one back there.
That's exactly it, because she invites us to transcend our reality and to live in a magical kingdom created by Maria Ason. Her chromatic work is celebrated because she has so many mosaic colors, and she offers a fantastical view of nature, of the kingdom of another world, We transcend reality. We ride a magic carpet, Kristal, with Maria Ason. Maria Ason has a very fascinating background of Cuban heritage from a very distinguished Cuban family, and eventually she is a very important contributing citizen and artist in Miami. And Miami also influences her chromatic palette with the passionate colors and with the beat of Miami and the fun and the colorific and chromatic palette, and almost often a sense of fantasy of living in Miami encompasses, different from our New York state of mind. And collectors love Maria's art because she invites us on to travel on a different path, to view nature with a different lens and put on a different view of glasses, to rejoice in the world, to celebrate in the colors, the beauty, and the fantasy of nature, and that is Maria Ason.
Timothy Crawford Wilson is an artist from the state of Maine, and his abstract works are very colorful, and he's also known as a poet.
Which is so interesting. We can say his color is poetry in itself. Timothy originally grew up in New York in Scarsdale, and eventually lives in the state of Maine, which helped inspire his abstract work, his abstract lexicon, which is an intersection of shapes, of color, of form, and we can say it's beautiful poetry in motion because we see an interlude of and an interaction, Kristal, of color, of form, shapes, and the excitement that these radiate. His expressionistic panoramas really viscerally express his passion towards the world, and his beautiful chromatic palette and kaleidoscopic work really radiate a positive energy and a joy, and that is why Kristal collectors love his work, because they feel it reflects poetry and positivity, the two P's. And we celebrate his lexicon of abstract visual vocabulary, which honors the world and which celebrates and rejoices in the panoramas of life in an abstract form and format. Timothy Crawford Wilson.
Our next artist, Sue Grafe, is from Florida, and she loves the urban vistas, the colors, the hot time in the city. Beautiful colors.
Sue Grafe is a Florida-based artist who is fascinated by her love of the city, of the urban environment, of a terrestrial kingdom. It is very geographic, you can see, and very architecturally oriented. She gives a grid, GRID, of the city, which encompasses a more geometric approach to the environment, to the natural terrain. But once again, Kristal, there's a hidden message. This is our world. This is our kingdom. Let us honor it. Let us rejoice in our cities, in our urban environment. Let us be well, love one another, and be kind to the environment. Whether she's encouraging us to ride a bike or be careful with our electronic cars, I don't know if we should get Teslas or try walking, but she is trying to say this is our natural terrain. Let us be careful, let us cherish it, let us enjoy hot town, summer in the city, and let us all be well and be fabulous in her architectural and geometric urban vistas. Sue Grafe.
And you know, I see Florida in it because anytime I visited Florida, they have all these very bright, luscious colors, the pinks and the orange and the greens, and
it reflects the passion of her environment, and those chromatic hues really, I think, are very deeply influenced, and that's a very good point, Kristal, that Sue's color palette really reflects her Florida-based art, and it is fun and it is special, and collectors are loving Sue Grafe. She qualifies as another Chelsea All-Star. Sue Grafe, at Amsterdam Whitney Gallery.
Continuing on our international GPS tour, let's go to Australia, down and under, with the work of Wendy Cohn.
Kristal, Wendy Cohn has been an artist who's been affiliated with Amsterdam Whitney Gallery for many years, and as you know, we are celebrating our 20th anniversary. We treasure Wendy Cohn's abstract expressionist work because they celebrate and rejoice another version of the world. Wendy Cohn's signature style is her chromatic color palette. These are works that have lyrical turquoises and peaches and mint greens, and they are very restful, very peaceful, giving a serenity to the world, a spirituality that she recognizes that the world needs in a very conflicting age that we are all participating in. This is an abstract version of the world. There is no persona in her paintings. It's just a sensorial feel. It is, she's very grounded, but her senses and her visceral emotions are emanated with color, with passion, with joy, and we call it a sextet. She has 6 paintings here, and then often 3 more, so it's, I don't know, do we call it a nine-tet? I don't know how that's enumerated, but we have the magic number of 9 that are being exhibited here, and we love having Wendy Cohn because there's a joie de vivre and a kaleidoscopic color palette and a message to the world of love, of harmony, of peace, and giving to one another with a sense of beauty and a sense of forgiveness to the world. Wendy Cohn from Australia.
Our next artist, Elaine Murphy, is from Ireland, but now she resides in Florida, and she shows a female figurative work, the allure of women. And one of my favorites is the painting there with the New York moment. She's having a martini, or is that a Cosmo? That's a real New York moment.
That's correct. Elaine Murphy's paintings are lyrical. They are reveries of the feminine mystique. One can imagine they are on gossamer wings floating in a fantasy world that only women inhabit. Our dreams, our allegories, our metaphors, our wishes, and she really encapsulates feminine thoughts of visions of the world that only Kristal, a woman, inhabits. They're lyrical, they're acrylic on canvas, they're very delicately painted, often with pastels, that we really know that the beauty of Elaine's work and Elaine herself personify the feminine mystique. I love a quote, Kristal, by Jean Moreau, who said, a good painting should be like a woman. It should have the sparks and the beauty of a woman and the poetry of a woman. And I think that Elaine Murphy really does emblematize the wonderful declaration of Miro that her painting has sparks, that it sparkles, that it dazzles the viewer with the joie de vivre of the feminine existence. I hope you will all enjoy, as we do, Elaine Murphy, our wonderful Irish-American artist.
Our next artist, Emmy Willy, is a Danish artist originally born in Nigeria. And you see these beautiful hues, beautiful colors.
Emmy Willy invites us on another international GPS journey as she offers another terrestrial vision of nature. This is an inner vision that is celestial, that it radiates really a supreme light. We can see and hear the beautiful lighting, Kristal, and as Kristal said, the waters. Emmy gives us an interpretation of nature. We notice, Kristal, there are no human beings in it. She just wants it to be spiritual, that it's one's own empathy and one's own heart that is relating to the terrestrial kingdom, to the environment. We also feel the tenderness of the colors, Kristal. We see the liquid blues and the very soft ocean greens. And she is encouraging us to treasure the fragility of nature, that nature, there's a temporality of nature, that nature transcends life, and that we must protect nature with these very almost, I feel they're spiritual, I feel they're almost holy-like. When I enter this room with Emmy Willy, I feel that there is a celestial light coming down and visiting us. And we are so honored to have Emmy Willy's work here because she is also influenced by the English painter Turner. And Turner, who is so renowned and in the British Museum for the very atmospheric hues and the atmospheric vision of nature. And this is a gentle yet passionate view of nature. And it's interesting, the blues of Emmy Willy almost match the blue in Kristal Hart's eyes. There you go.
Continuing on our artistic journey, we have Alessandra Halde, who is an Italian-Swiss artist who's living in Switzerland, and her work is organic abstract.
That is so right, Kristal. Alessandra Halde's work is an abstraction of the universe. It's a transcending reality. It's a different version of viewing the world, viewing how life is around us. It's heavily textured. She uses so many wonderful components with sand and resin, and it's even very, very heavy. Her coloration and her chromatic palette is soft and hued, and it offers another spiritual version. It's an inner terrain, an inner version of the world. As Kandinsky said, to make the invisible visible and make the world transparent to us all. We rejoice in the work of Alessandra Halde because she is an internationally acclaimed and cited global artist whose works have been placed in an important private and public collections and are treasured by so many universal collectors because it's an expansive worldwide vision of the world, embracing the universe and embracing the serenity and the spirituality of our world. Alessandra Halde, piano. She has a third name. It's Alessandra Halde, piano.
Well, that's all the time we have for this show, folks. We have been at Amsterdam Whitney Gallery, and this is the
20th anniversary that we are celebrating our beautiful gallery here in Chelsea. This is our salute to the stars, and Amsterdam Whitney Gallery celebrates our artistic stars, and we thank the biggest star of them all, the star of stage, screen, TV, producer, Kristal Hart. God bless you, Kristal. Thank you, and thank you to all of our artists.